What is up, y'all? It's your boy Sonic, the wrestling reporter Hedgehog, and I am back with another video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. And we're going to be doing a double topic. That's right, a double topic, which means I get to pick two topics to talk about. And my two topics that we're going to be talking about today are my predictions for SummerSlam 2020 and WrestleMania 37. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, but Sonic, WrestleMania 37 ain't until next year. Why are you making predictions now? Well, it's never too early to make predictions. I mean, granted, when it comes to something like college football, then yeah, I kind of understand that. But when it comes to wrestling, that's something I love doing. I love making my predictions early. So SummerSlam 2020 and WrestleMania 37 are the two topics that we're going to be doing today. So let's begin this double topic session. So the first topic we're going to be talking about today is SummerSlam 2020, as you can see on my background. So let's begin, shall we? WrestleMania 36 is in the books, and the next big event we hope to see from WWE is SummerSlam 2020. Here's a look at how that card might shape up. WrestleMania 36 wasn't exactly a normal WWE production, but it was still a spectacularly entertaining show that saw several shifts in the landscape of Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. While no one is quite sure how our world will look by August 23rd, 2020, we can all hope to see WWE SummerSlam 2020 live from the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. Regardless of how the next few months look, either in storylines or style of presentation, there are some clear lines for things to follow heading into SummerSlam 2020. Let's take a look at how the full match card for SummerSlam 2020 might turn out. First match, Asuka versus Io Shirai. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. I'm not very good at pronouncing names. At WrestleMania 36, Asuka walked in with Kairi Sane at her side, and the Kabuki Warriors were the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. By the time their match was over, the titles had been taken from them by Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. As much as I've enjoyed the Kabuki Warriors, it's time for Asuka to go back to the singles dominance she once showed us. Before she finds her way to a championship opportunity again, it would instead be perfect to see an absolute dream match take place at SummerSlam 2020. Io Shirai has been lighting things up in NXT, especially since turning heel and recreating the image of her character. Asuka did something similar when she started using the green mist, but that luck seems to have run out. We should see Asuka return to her in-ring dominance and lose these tactics, instead challenging herself by bringing another Joshi legend to WWE Raw in the form of Io Shirai. Even if they only had 15 minutes, these two women would deliver a 5-star classic, but it would be one I actually expect Shirai to be on the winning end of. My prediction for this match, if it does happen, Io Shirai defeating Asuka. WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross versus the Iconics. After capturing the titles at Hell in a Cell 2019, the Kabuki Warriors continued to hold onto them for 181 days before losing to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross at WrestleMania 36. The victory made Bliss and Cross the only two-time WWE Women's Tag Team Champions in history. As for the Kabuki Warriors, I've already explained that I don't see their partnership lasting much longer. That leaves a void for another team to fill by challenging Bliss Cross Applesauce, and who better than former WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, the Iconics. After getting drafted to WWE Raw back in October, the Iconics have been reality unseen. We haven't seen reports of either being injured, so it seems WWE may just be looking for the right time to bring them back. With Bliss and Cross as fan favorite champions and the Kabuki Warriors out of the picture, it's time for the Iconics to return to competition and look to also become two-time champions. At SummerSlam 2020, they should take this opportunity and make it iconic by leaving Boston with the gold. My prediction: the Iconics defeat Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross to become the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Now, we have a night. I predict that at SummerSlam 2020 there will be a United States Championship Fatal 4-Way match. And here's who I got: Andrade versus Aleister Black versus Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. Events like this tend to see at least one match turn into some version of a multi-man car crash. And this seems as good a candidate as any. While Andrade may have at one time been penciled in to defend his title at WrestleMania 36 against Rey Mysterio, lots of things kept changing plans, and Andrade wasn't even able to compete at the event. Should his injury be minor enough to see our idol back in action soon, we would have plenty of potential opponents moving forward. Kevin Owens is fresh off a violent defeat of Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 36 and will surely be looking for some new success far away from the Monday Night Messiah. Aleister Black found his own WrestleMania moment by facing Bobby Lashley, or should I say Bobby Trashley, and definitely destroying him, the Black Mass, to secure a victory. Randy Orton, on the other hand, was defeated by Edge in a brutal last man standing match. Of course, Orton is no stranger to finding his way back to opportunity after a crushing loss. All three of these men seem like ideal challengers, so why not just put all three of them in the match? It would stack the odds, but I'll, to be honest, still expect Andrade to emerge victorious. My prediction: Andrade defeats Aleister Black, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton to retain the United States Championship. Next up, we have the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. Prediction: The Miz and John Morrison versus Heavy Machinery. WrestleMania 36 certainly seemed like it was going to be a lot of things when it came to the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and the final product was nothing like what any of those early iterations seemed to be. However, after an amazing three-man triple threat ladder match for the titles, it was John Morrison who squeezed out of WrestleMania for himself and The Miz with the gold. The New Day and the Usos will certainly remain in the mix moving forward, but it wouldn't harm either team to see take a back seat at SummerSlam 2020 to someone else. Who other than the Heavy Machinery? Heavy Machinery have been really pushing themselves in 2020, including an unforgivable performance inside the Elimination Chamber. However, that wasn't their night and they failed to capture the titles. And the following weeks we saw the potential romance between Otis and Mandy Rose go through a bit of a roller coaster, but WrestleMania 36 saw them finally come together and embrace each other. Now that Otis has resolved that situation in a way that truly warmed the hearts of fans, it's time for Heavy Machinery to follow it up with championship gold. SummerSlam 2020 should see Heavy Machinery with Mandy Rose at ringside topple The Miz and John Morrison to capture tag team gold for the first time. Prediction: Heavy Machinery defeats The Miz and John Morrison to become the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Now this match, I actually thought of because of the fact that if I felt like these two wrestlers had something in common with what Seth Rollins is going through with the whole Monday Night Messiah thing and what this wrestler went through back then. So the next match that I predict that will happen is Seth Rollins versus Shawn Michaels in an unholy violence match. We saw two unique charismatic experiences at WrestleMania 36 with the Boneyard match between The Undertaker and AJ Styles, in which Undertaker came out victorious over AJ Styles, and the Firefly Funhouse match, in which The Fiend Bray Wyatt defeated John Cena. And for the first time ever, WWE has cracked the code on that formula. With the presented and established, they've got plenty of options to do that moving forward. While many will look to names like Sting, The Fiend, or The Undertaker to participate in those matches in the future, I'm instead looking to an unlikely option for SummerSlam 2020. In recent months, we've seen Seth Rollins take on a new personnel as the Monday Night Messiah. The imagery has only been cracked up the longer that's gone on. And Rollins did his best to truly embody CrossFit Jesus at WrestleMania 36. Shawn Michaels is a well-known devout Christian, and it wouldn't take much storytelling to explain why Rollins' character could bother Michaels. While it's possible Michaels could still perform in his previous form even to this day, there's also the option of pitting these two against one another in a unique charismatic experience that would even take place on church grounds. These two certainly have the tools to deliver something unforgettable, and we might just see Shawn Michaels standing tall over Seth Rollins on hallowed ground. My prediction: Shawn Michaels defeats Seth Rollins. Now the next match I predict that will happen is Sami Zayn versus Mustafa Ali for the Intercontinental Championship match. Despite the best efforts of Daniel Bryan and his alliance with Drew Gulak, we still saw Sami Zayn escape from WrestleMania 36 with the Intercontinental Championship. Of course, an assist still goes to Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro. Elsewhere on SmackDown, mysterious messages that the truth would be heard have infiltrated WWE programming and led to a powerful moment at WrestleMania 36 where the lies faded away and we saw the embrace between Otis and Mandy Rose. Where might this mysterious figure put his attention next? Ever since forming his alliance with Shinsuke Nakamura and eventually bringing Cesaro onto the fold, Sami Zayn has been talking to anyone within earshot about injustice and liberation. He's positioned himself as the great savior, trying to right the wrongs, but there seems to be someone else actually doing that on SmackDown. Behind the altruism in his actions and the familiar round image in his glitches, that man looks to be Mustafa Ali. After turning his attention to the injustices perpetrated by Sami Zayn and his allies, we could finally see Mustafa Ali step from the shadows to reveal himself and take the Intercontinental Championship from Sami Zayn at SummerSlam 2020. Prediction: Mustafa Ali defeats Sami Zayn to become the new Intercontinental Champion. Give me a minute, guys. Oh, much better. So next up, we have the Raw Tag Team Championship match, and I predict it's going to be the Street Profits and the AOP. Street Profits defended their Raw Tag Team titles at WrestleMania 36 against as ragtag a team as you could possibly find. They are intentionally scheduled to face Andrade and Angel Garza, but an untimely injury to Andrade followed Austin Theory allowed Austin Theory to somehow end up replacing him. Don't ask how that actually happened, because I couldn't tell you. All four men did their best to make the match work, and Street Profits retained their titles as most fans expected. Unfortunately, the tag team division isn't exactly deep on Raw right now, but there's a team that has been wasted in the background who could be a true threat to the reigning champions. AOP, or Authors of Pain, depending on who you ask, are currently the excess muscle behind the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. They even had to stand behind Rollins when he formed a Raw ragtag team with Murphy to capture the Raw tag team titles back in January. Now it's finally time for AOP to push their way through the shadows and become the dominant force NXT viewers have known they're capable of being. The delightfully fun reign of the Street Profits would come crashing down at SummerSlam 2020 as AOP emerges as the new champions. Prediction: AOP defeats Street Profits to become the new Raw Tag Team Champions. Now for the WWE Championship match. Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles. Now, before I get to that, you're probably wondering yourself, but Sonic, AJ Styles lost to The Undertaker and got buried. How do you expect that to happen? Well, in matches like that, WWE actually digs up the person that was buried alive, or in this case, buried in a boneyard match, so they could get them out and not suffocate. So, yeah. In the main event of Night 2 of WrestleMania 36, Drew McIntyre used the opportunity he earned by winning the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble to take on Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. After surviving multiple F5s and delivering multiple Claymores, it was McIntyre who closed the night as the new WWE Champion. Looking forward, he will be the anchor for the main event since seen on Raw. McIntyre has played various roles in his career, but now truly feels like a hard-working competitor who fought for the fans and won the title for us all. Which I thank you, Drew McIntyre, for that, because I was sick of hearing Paul Heyman talk about how great Brock Lesnar is as champion. So what? He's a dominant champ. So what? I'm sick of hearing it. The perfect foil for that is someone who died at WrestleMania 36 at the end of the Boneyard match, only the hand of AJ Styles stuck through the dirt as he was literally buried by The Undertaker. Of course, nothing is permanent in WWE, including death. However, WWE chooses to explain his eventual return. AJ Styles will likely find his way back to the main event in short order and could very well be facing Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam 2020. Of course, in the end, he'll just eat a Claymore and another loss as Drew McIntyre remains WWE Champion. My prediction: Drew McIntyre defeats AJ Styles to retain the WWE Championship. Next match, The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan in a, wait for it, a Firefly Funhouse match. If WWE is smart, they'll realize just how well received two cinematic matches at WrestleMania 36 were and keep that rolling in the future. Bray Wyatt certainly gave us something unforgettable against John Cena, and there's no reason he can't bring that concept back against someone else. Of course, this would be another competitor Wyatt has extensive history with. While their paths have crossed in much different ways than Wyatt and Cena's had, they also had tangled much more recently. Back at the Royal Rumble 2020, Daniel Bryan challenged The Fiend Bray Wyatt for the Universal Championship in a brutal strap match, but wasn't able to emerge victorious. Here we could see the unraveling of Daniel Bryan reach a whole new boiling point inside of wrestling's most unstable environment, much the way that the first Firefly Funhouse match did. This would see Bray Wyatt dragging Daniel Bryan through plethora of mind games and experiences. Ultimately, it would see the Fiend Bray Wyatt destroy Daniel Bryan in a way he hoped to at this year's Royal Rumble. Prediction: The Fiend Bray Wyatt defeats Daniel Bryan. This match is Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. While the Queen of Spades was looking to destroy the masquerade of the man at WrestleMania 36, but she couldn't get the job done. No amount of mixed martial arts acumen saved her from a good old-fashioned wrestling move. Now Becky Lynch continues her reign as Raw Women's Champion, but who could possibly dethrone her? With all the names she's gone through, it seems like it would have to be someone completely new, and the prime candidate is the EST of NXT, Bianca Belair, who is now the EST of WWE. We even saw the opening established at WrestleMania 36 after Street Profits successfully defended the Raw Tag Team titles. Zelina Vega was part of the three-person post-match beatdown until Bianca Belair came out and demolished Vega with the KOD. After finishing things with Vega on a future episode of Raw, all Bianca Belair has to do is turn her attention to Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch and chart her course to becoming the EST of WWE. Belair should be leaving SummerSlam 2020 with gold around her waist. My prediction: Bianca Belair defeats Becky Lynch to become the new Raw Women's Champion. Now this match, Universal Championship match, Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns. Now before I get to that, last night on SmackDown, it felt like Bray Wyatt was challenging Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship. And the way I'm thinking right now, the way my noggin's doing right now, I feel like WWE is trying to redeem themselves. Now, here's why. You're probably wondering, why did I say redeem themselves? Well, if you remember correctly, WrestleMania 36 was supposed to be The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, versus Roman Reigns. But at Super Showdown, instead, we had Goldberg defeating The Fiend. And people started to blame WWE for this because of the fact that reports saying that the Fiend versus Roman Reigns match was scrapped. So the way I'm thinking right now, if Bray Wyatt does defeat Braun Strowman for the Universal title, then we can get The Fiend versus Roman Reigns to main event SummerSlam 2020. But however, in case that does not happen, we will probably get Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. And here's the description that I have for you guys. It took truly unexpected circumstances to bring us to this moment, but still where we've come. Few would have been surprised by this match a few years ago, but it seemed like a faraway memory just a few weeks ago. After Roman Reigns chose to pull out of WrestleMania 36 to migrate his risk of exposure to COVID-19 due to his compromised immune system, there was a void to be filled against Universal Champion Goldberg. WWE chose Braun Strowman to replace Reigns, and after 4 Power Slams, it was Braun Strowman who was the Universal Champion, not Goldberg. It's not exactly far-fetched to believe that had WrestleMania gone on as originally intended, Roman Reigns would have left Raymond James Stadium as Universal Champion. As a result, it's only right that he should be coming for Braun Strowman once WWE things are safer and reality back to normal. Strowman got his moment one way or another, but he doesn't need to hold the title any longer than it takes for Roman Reigns to face him for it. SummerSlam 2020 needs to see Roman Reigns emerge as the new Universal Champion, a title that he never lost during his title reign. Prediction: Roman Reigns defeats Braun Strowman to become the new Universal Champion. Now, this is what I predict for the main event of SummerSlam 2020. Bayley versus Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship. When SummerSlam 2020 arrives, there's absolutely no question about what should be the night's main event. With over 5 years of build to this moment, we need the rematch of the greatest contest in NXT history to close out SummerSlam weekend. WrestleMania 36 saw plenty of great matches, but one of the highlights was the Fatal 5-Way elimination match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Reigning champion Bayley had the odds stacked against her while facing Sasha Banks, Naomi, Lacey Evans, and Tamina. There were clear questions going into the night about the ability of Banks and Bayley to work together in that environment, and those were only exacerbated by small notes of tension between the two in the months leading into WrestleMania 36. The rivalry turned friendship was still intact as that night came to a close, but it's on thin ice. It's about to bloom back into the greatest rivalry of the summer. Ever since Sasha Banks made her shocking return to WWE and Bayley made a quietly shocking turn to the dark side, things have looked very different for these two. They've been together on SmackDown since October, but things haven't seemed perfectly stable along the way. SummerSlam is the perfect stage to bring this to a boiling point once again, but with the roles reversed and a desperate Bayley having turned on the boss to keep her title at all costs. Sasha Banks should be walking out of Boston as the SmackDown Women's Champion. Prediction for this: Sasha Banks defeats Bayley to become the new SmackDown Women's Champion. Wow, unbelievable. This match, I'm sorry to say, is going to be lit. Because if this match does happen, then we're going to see some real stuff happen. So, that's the first topic. Topic number 1 has come to a close. So, you're wondering what topic I should say, are we going to talk about next? Well, I said earlier, we're going to be talking about this, WrestleMania 37. Sad to say, that's the only background I could find. But anyway, so I'm going to be talking about my predictions for WrestleMania 37, and your guys are going to probably be like, but Sonic, WrestleMania 37 ain't until next year. Why are we talking about matches now? Well, because I like predicting. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I like predicting. There's nothing you can do that will make me stop predicting matches for WrestleMania or any match pay-per-view for WWE. So, let's get started. WrestleMania 36 is in the books, which means it's already time to start thinking about WrestleMania 37. Now, here's a look at how that show might turn out. WrestleMania 36, which was originally meant to be seen inside Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, Florida. Unfortunately, due to the current circumstances, as WWE insists on referring to the threat of COVID-19, it became perhaps the most unorthodox WrestleMania we will ever see. This is all the more reason to look ahead to a return to normalcy at WrestleMania 37. The imminent future of WWE programming remains uncertain. They continue to advertise the May 10th presentation of WWE Money in the Bank, though that can't possibly go on in its original form just a little over a month from now. Even SummerSlam 2020 seems uncertain as of now, but let's look to Hollywood. WrestleMania 37 will be heading to Hollywood, but what might that event look like? If WWE decides to continue with a two-night format, which honestly, in my opinion, is a better idea than going back to WrestleMania lasting for what feels like an eternity on a single day. We could see upwards of 18 matches at this show like this year. We can expect the modern standard of tens of thousands of fans packed into a stadium, but who might we see competing? What could the landscape of WWE become just 1 year from now, likely after another draft or another superstar shakeup? Starting with the Andre the Giant battle Memorial Battle Royale. We didn't see this half of WWE standard annual Battle Royales at this year's WrestleMania, but there's no reason not to expect it back as usual at WrestleMania 37. Who ends up winning the match is anyone's guess, as WWE could try to re-establish its current star or elevate someone from NXT, but expect this to be where everyone who doesn't make the main card ends up. WrestleMania Women's Battle Royale. Much the same as mentioned earlier, moments ago, we should see the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royale back as usual at WrestleMania 37. It will also become the catch-all for any women on the main roster who aren't in other matches, as well as various NXT talents, and maybe a legend or two. Now, here's the Raw Tag Team Championship match. We have The New Day, don't know who it could be, versus the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. The Undisputed Era have easily been one of the greatest factions in modern WWE history, and it's only a question of when, not if, they translate that to success outside of NXT. I'll get to the reason for their rivalry a little bit later. Don't know when, but you can count on them gunning for gold. The New Day need a change of pace and move to Raw could do that, and see them recapture the Raw Tag Team titles. This would be a truly fresh and new matchup and a real challenge for the Undisputed Era against one of the most proven teams in WWE history. Next up, we will have a SmackDown Tag Team Championship match, but not just any match, a TLC match between the Heavy Machinery, Street Profits, and the Usos. Meanwhile, on SmackDown, we should see some dominance this year by Heavy Machinery. I fully expect them to be champions in the near future, and wouldn't be surprised to see them carry those belts into WrestleMania 37. The Usos are the veterans here, whereas Street Profits would be coming over from Raw and looking to capture their third different set of tag titles. Sprinkle in some tables, ladders, and chairs, and you've got a recipe for mayhem. Next up, for my predictions for WrestleMania 37, WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. The Iconics versus Beth Phoenix and Natalya. In the Women's Tag Team division, it's only a matter of time before the Iconics are back and holding the titles once again. That could happen as early as SummerSlam, giving them the chance to try and hold onto them all the way to WrestleMania 37. Were they to do that, they'd be no better opponents than Beth Phoenix and Natalya. It was Phoenix's top rope glam slam that essentially helped them capture the titles at WrestleMania 35. And this could be one final effort by the Divas of Doom to capture the gold. Now here's a match that I had some thought into it, but I didn't know who else to pick for this guy. We have Edge versus Adam Cole in a Falls Count Anywhere match. We're sure to see Edge taking on both legends and new talent in the coming years. And there's no match I'm more hopeful to see than Edge versus Adam Cole. If anyone feels like the spiritual successor to Edge, it's Adam Cole. Baby! The story isn't difficult to craft either. Adam Cole could be looking to make his mark at the expense of a legend and prove himself, much the way Edge did to Mick Foley back at WrestleMania 21. Make it Falls Count Anywhere and mix in the rest of the Undisputed Era at some point, and this one will be magic. Next, we have The Miz versus John Morrison in an Intercontinental Championship match. The history between The Miz and John Morrison is extensive. While their return to tag team success following John Morrison coming back to WWE has been entertaining, it's not going to last forever. Sad, but true. There we go. Honestly, it's anybody's guess who could be the face and who could be the heel here, but one turning on the other is a clear way to set the stage for those two tough enough alums in Hollywood. Add on The Miz capturing the Intercontinental Championship, possibly from Ali, between now and then, and the stakes get even higher. Next up is the US Championship ladder match, which I predict might happen. And here's who I got. Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens versus Roderick Strong versus Samoa Joe versus Daniel Bryan versus Andrade. This bound to be a massive multi-man ladder match at WrestleMania 37. WWE has such a bloated mid-card that there tends to be an embarrassment of riches, and the best way to get them all a chance to shine is to hang a mid-card title above the ring. Most of these superstars are established main rosters. Names. While Roger Strong could be coming up with the Undisputed Era, looking to take a step forward in fulfilling a new version of the prophecy. There's so much talent between these 6 superstars that it's almost guaranteed to be amazing. Now, you're probably wondering who did I have as champion in this match? I actually had Seth Rollins to be champion in this match because you never know. Seth Rollins may beat Andrade between now and then. You never know. Next match. And then know what I was thinking in this one. AJ Styles versus CM Punk. Never say never. While CM Punk isn't technically a WWE employee, he's opened the door to an eventual return by becoming a mainstay on WWE backstage, even hinting he'd be open to an in-ring return if the circumstances were right. AJ Styles and CM Punk were both independent wrestling legends before ever coming to WWE. Both carved their own championship paths. It could be a true dream match to see Punk make his return against the Phenomenal One, an instant classic. Brock Lesnar versus Matt Riddle, career versus career match. This one really isn't this match isn't really that complicated. Matt Riddle needs to retire Brock Lesnar, period. The only question is, how does Matt Riddle get Brock Lesnar to risk his career? The most logical path is for Riddle, upon arrival on the main roster, to do everything in his power to target Brock Lesnar and make his life a living hell anytime he shows up. If Brock can't be there and make money without worrying about Riddle ruining things, he just might be goaded into risking his career. So long as if he won, he'd be rid of Riddle forever. Now this match, NXT Championship match, Tommaso Ciampa versus Keith Lee. At WrestleMania 36, we saw someone win the Women's Royal Rumble and challenge the NXT Women's Champion at WrestleMania. At WrestleMania 37, I believe we'll see Keith Lee win the Men's Royal Rumble and challenge the NXT Champion at WrestleMania. Tommaso Ciampa may be thoroughly tied up with Johnny Gargano at the moment, but once that ends, I wouldn't be surprised to see him going after Goldie once again. If he can walk into WrestleMania season as champion, Keith Lee will bring this clash to the biggest stage in wrestling. Undertaker versus Sting Boneyard match. WrestleMania 36 showed that WWE has finally figured out cinematic matches, and it's also shown that they can work around the limitations of older superstars like The Undertaker. While I hope The Undertaker's done after this year's Boneyard match, it's not a stretch to expect him back to fulfill his dream match. Doing another Boneyard match or even something similar would also allow them to work around the limitations of Sting. WWE could really go all in with these characters, letting them tell the story fans wanted to see years ago, despite the towering in-ring stamina of both men. Next, we have the WWE Championship Triple Threat match. Drew McIntyre, Jinder Mahal, and Heath Slater. The prophecy must be fulfilled. 2 parts of 3MB, 3-man band, have officially been WWE Champion. That just leaves Heath Slater to complete the trifecta, and he could do it at WrestleMania 37. For this to work, I expect the title to end up back on SmackDown, with McIntyre holding it all the way until next year's WrestleMania. And Mahal works his way back into the hunt, and Slater gets a well-timed opportunity. The pieces are here for an amazing moment where Heath Slater leaves WrestleMania as WWE Champion. Next, The Fiend versus Aleister Black. While this could be a cinematic experience a la Firefly Funhouse, we could also see a regular match here between Aleister Black and The Fiend. Aleister scored a strong win over AJ Styles at Elimination Chamber next to The Undertaker, and followed it with a WrestleMania victory over Bobby Lashley. If WWE is truly committed to making Aleister Black a top-tier singles competitor, going up against The Fiend Bray Wyatt on the grandest stage of them all is a hell of a way to do it. On top of that, these two could truly create something special in both story and in-ring product. Next, Raw Women's Championship match. Bianca Belair versus Ember Moon. Bianca Belair opened the door for a jump to WWE Raw by attacking Zelina Vega at WrestleMania 36. If she were to fight her way to Becky Lynch and dethrone the man, Belair could intensely be solidified as a main event star. Meanwhile, Ember Moon has been nursing an ankle injury and seen some time on WWE backstage. Once she's fully healed, a return that leads to a victory in the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble could set the stage for this epic clash between NXT Lumini at WrestleMania 37. Next, we have Universal Championship match. Roman Reigns versus Kofi Kingston. Meanwhile, on Raw, where the Universal Championship could end up if the WWE Championship got moved to SmackDown, we can expect Roman Reigns to walk into WrestleMania 37 with the gold. As for his challenger, Kofi Kingston will end up getting moved along with the New Day. This would be a rare instance of two very different fan favorites fighting over a World Championship at WrestleMania, similar to Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 35, where Kofi won the WWE Championship. Best moment. Sorry, that was the best moment ever. But they could surely deliver on. Roman Reigns won't back down from any challenge, and Kofi Kingston can scratch his way to an altogether different World Championship opportunity at WrestleMania. Next, Sasha Banks versus Bayley versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. The four horsewomen were very clearly at the top of their respective division when WrestleMania 37 came to a close. WrestleMania 36 came to a close, and thus it's finally time to do this rematch we've all been clamoring for since NXT TakeOver Rival. Sasha Banks should be targeting Bayley by SummerSlam and expect her to leave Boston as the SmackDown Women's Champion. Meanwhile, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair could both be dethroned between now and WrestleMania 37, leaving them each looking for an opportunity. However, the pieces are maneuvered, this main event story writes itself and could easily be one of the greatest women's matches in WrestleMania history. Wow. Well, I'm going to end this real quick. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining me today. I know it took a long time, and I'm sorry for the hesitation. I'm sorry for the stuttering. I've been trying to work on that. But anyway, hit that like button for me, please. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Sonic, the Wrestling Reporter Hedgehog, is out. Gotta go fast.